Herbert Walker Bush. He doesn't play around. He knows the rules. The Judiciary Committee said it also plans to authorize subpoenas for certain documents from former White House counsel Don McGahn. Well, there's your executive privilege. Former White House strategist Steve Bannon, former communications director Hope Hicks, and former Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, and former White House aide Ann Donaldson. Okay, you're not going to get those because if they involved conversations with the president, he has executive privilege, and you're not going to see them, but they want them anyway. The committee said these individuals or their lawyers have received documents from the White House relevant to Mueller's investigation, and that would waive any right to cite executive privilege or other claims from being used to block requests of the documents. Well, because it says several weeks ago, I sent document requests to 81 individuals. Regrettably, not everyone has chosen to voluntarily cooperate. To that end, I've asked the committee to authorize me to issue subpoenas, Nadler said. Nadler said earlier he demanded the White House turn over Mueller's full report by Tuesday. Barr revealed in a letter Friday that to Nadler that Mueller's report is almost 400 pages, not including tables or exhibits. Nadler said he wants the full report and attachments. Barr told lawmakers that sensitive material, AG Barr, following the rules, told lawmakers that sensitive material such as grand jury evidence will be stripped out of the final version he sends to Congress. But he suggested that he wouldn't remove information just because it's critical of Trump or senior figures in his 2016 campaign. Barr had released a 4-page summary of the report on March 24th, saying that Mueller did not establish that Trump or anyone associated with this campaign conspired or coordinated with Russia. Then you had Doug Collins, Judiciary Committee's top Republican, said in a statement the Democrat majority has escalated from setting arbitrary deadlines to demanding unredacted material that Congress does not in truth require, in that the law does not allow to be shared outside the Justice Department. So they don't care. This has been pretty indicative of how this new Democratic Socialist Party's been working. They don't care what the law is. They just want. And if you don't go along with it, then you're hiding something. There's a conspiracy. Because once they've made a groupthink determination, they're right. They just have to get access to the information they need. So expect, I don't know how, if this will go to court or how this is going to play out, but AG Barr's not going to give them all the report and is not going to give them the underlying things if it's protected by executive privilege, and they're going to do subpoenas, and let's see how this plays out. Now, switching over to the 2020 election, if you go back a couple months ago, when I was talking about this, I was thinking, even though Joe Biden is flawed, and even though Joe Biden gaffes, I still thought Biden probably would have been the best opportunity for the left to have a chance of beating President Trump. But the left, the social justice warriors, the AOCs, who think that white men have screwed everything up, they're not about to let a white man, an older white man that likes to whisper into women's ears, be the nominee for the Democratic Party. So, out of nowhere, Biden has a woman come out and says basically, and I'll read it, that he accosted me. And I nervously sat there as he was pretty much groping me. And now a second woman's come out. Now, because I'm a conservative independent, and because of what I observed and watched the dirty Democrats do to Kavanaugh, to Clarence Thomas in the past, to Judge Moore, then I'm kind of like, well, what goes around comes around. Or comes around, goes around, whatever the saying is. So I'm thinking, well, too bad, Biden. But the only reason why I am leaning toward believing the women is because he did it in front of cameras. And he has that pattern of touching women and girls, and little girls. So I think the left, I think they're going to be successful in tearing down this old white man to make sure that he's not the nominee, and then go after Bernie Sanders. But then who do you have left? You have a white homosexual mayor from Indiana who's in the middle of the pack. You have Kamala Harris, who I think has a lot to do with the Smollett exoneration, and she wants reparations and everything else. And then you have Robert O'Rourke, who keeps trying to call himself Beto, and the news media says that he's speaking in his native tongue when he speaks in Spanish, but he's not Mexican. He's Irish or Scottish. Is that so? If they get rid of the old white men, then it's Kamala Harris or a white homosexual mayor from Indiana, or Robert, I think I'm a Beto O'Rourke, a rich white man. So I'm not quite sure how this is supposed to play out, but here's an article from AP. Biden team blast trolls amid scrutiny over behavior. Aides to Joe Biden struck a more aggressive tone on Monday as the former vice president faced scrutiny over his past behavior toward women. Remember the Me Too movement? In a statement, Biden spokesman Bill Russo blasted right-wing trolls in the dark recesses of the internet for conflating images of Biden embracing acquaintances, colleagues, and friends in his official capacity during swearing-in ceremonies with uninvited touching. Is it the right-wing trolls? Or is it the Democratic Socialist deep staters? The move came on a day in which a second woman said Biden had acted inappropriately. I don't think that's a right-wing troll. Touching her face in both hands and rubbing noses with her in 2009. The allegation of Amy Lapos, a former aide to Democratic Representative Jim Hines of Connecticut, followed a magazine essay by former Nevada politician Lucy Flores, who wrote that Biden kissed her on the back of her head in 2014. Now, this is Joe Biden. Is he Creepy Joe? Or was he he's bad with boundaries? So he's kissing the back of a woman's head, and then he touched a woman's face in both hands and rubbed noses with her. And they want to disqualify him for running for president because of those two acts. I'm not going to say that Joe Biden should be touching women, and I am not a defender of Joe Biden at all. But I would 99% say this is a Democratic hit on an old white man. It has nothing to do with right-wing trolls. But I think it's going to be effective. I think they're permanently damaging Biden. But what's interesting about this the most, to me, is that even though the Me Too movement, which was the battle cry for the left, Nancy Pelosi's come out and she says the accusations against Biden, they don't disqualify him. Okay, Nancy, well, then Me Too, I'm not sure. So here is a little audio of her saying this.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Monday
Or
that
it's a news report
and touching against former Vice President Joe Biden should not disqualify him from the 2020 race. Pelosi said to reporters when asked if she thinks that the allegations from the two women are disqualifying, quote, No, I do not. I don't think this disqualifies him from being president. Not at all. Pelosi declined to say whether this could potentially damage Biden in a 2020 bid. Biden on Sunday said that he did not believe that he had acted inappropriately when offering, quote, countless handshakes, hugs, expressions of affection, support, and comfort along the campaign trail.
Well, what do you guys think? Do you think that Biden kissing the back of a woman's head as she's sitting there and at a swearing ceremony, or rub noses with, I don't know what he's doing? Do you think that disqualifies him for being president of the United States? Because Nancy said no. This is from the Hill, what you just heard. She said, no, I don't think it disqualifies him. I don't think it disqualifies him from being president. Not at all. Well, who else is sticking up for Touchy Joe? Whoopi Goldberg, hyper angry feminist on The View. Here's from Breitbart. Whoopi Goldberg defends Biden. I don't want Joe. So this one's even worse because she wants him to keep kissing and smelling women's hair. Me too, huh? Monday on ABC's The View, co-host Whoopi Goldberg, Meghan McCain, and Joy Behar defended former Vice President Joe Biden in the wake of former Nevada lawmaker Lucy Flores' claim that inappropriately touched and kissed her in 2014 at a campaign rally. Actually, Meghan McCain, Joy, and Whoopi did. So let's see what. Let's hear from Whoopi herself.
Weekend it's been. My goodness. You know, Joe Biden's presidential campaign hasn't even officially begun, and people are trying to knock him out of the running. Biden was out of line when he campaigned for her back in 2014. Take a look.
Out of nowhere, I feel Joe Biden put his hands on my shoulders, get up very close to me from behind, lean in, smell my hair, and then plant a slow kiss. Me so unexpectedly and just kind of out of nowhere. It was just shocking. The reason why we're having these conversations about Vice President Joe Biden is because he's considering running for president.
So now Biden responded that in all his years on the campaign trail, he's never believed he's acted inappropriately, so he'll listen respectfully to Flores, but it was never his intention. Now, should she have spoken to him about this before she went on television about it? Or, I mean, is it, you know, listen, in the old days, we would call Joe, some folks of a certain age would say he's a little overly familiar.
Yeah.
Okay? But most politicians, when they're, you know, doing this with you, and, you know, they are. And Joe is a hands-on kind of guy.
Yeah, he is.
But no one, I've never heard anyone, and she says she felt violated, and I have to take her at her word, but it would have been nice if she had turned to him and said, you know what, Jay, I don't really like this. Please don't do this. Or, not, Mr. Vice President, I'm not really comfortable with that. Something, because he's standing right there.
Well, it's hard to say to somebody who's sniffing
No, it's
your
not.
hair.
Somebody touches you inappropriately.
But it wasn't. That's the point.
That's what she said. That's what she's claiming.
I didn't.
But can we just say, she does not say it rises to the level of sexual assault or anything of that nature. She does not claim this is a Me Too moment. So I think we need to be very clear on that, because I think some people are interpreting it that way.
And let's also be clear
but
that
that's the point. That's the point, is to get people to think about it like that. It does not rise to any of those things.
No, it's a long way from smelling your hair to grabbing your hoo-ha. I mean, let's tell the truth. But she felt annoyed or uncomfortable with it, and so we have to accept that. But I don't think it rises to points what we've been listening to about Harvey Weinstein and the rest of these people. It just doesn't look like that. And, you know, we all know Joe Biden. He's been here. I remember when I met him in Florida before he was vice president, and he was so friendly. He's a close talker.
Yes.
He comes right up in your face and you're thinking, I hope my breath is good, you know. and more important, I hope his is.
Yeah.
And, you know, so he talks close. He touches you. That's what he's like. And I feel it would be really unfortunate if we got rid of everybody who was just an affectionate kind of person.
How do you like that? That's just blatant hypocrisy. I'm just listening and watching it on the video. It's mind-boggling to me. It really is. Because when Me Too was kicking off, any man that even tried to advance some during the hooking up process or trying to kiss and go to second base